Venus square Uranus.
July 2nd, right?
Yeah. This could be, discomfort with change in relationships, and if you're worried that, oh my God, this means that, my relationship's doomed, maybe that's a sign to, spice it up a little bit or change it up a bit somehow. You know, Uranus is that freedom, but also, open to new ideas and the unusual and the different. And yeah, that could be something really simple as, not being as structured and rigid as, this happens on this day, that time, blah, da, da, da. Just, be a little bit more spontaneous. Yeah, this could be in groups and, within a friendship group, it could be something like, you're mixing with different people, a different crowd than you usually would. Could be exposure to art that's a little bit different. If you're very into, I don't even know what it would be, not classical, but like, you know, very traditional art. You go to a modern art show, which is, very different to what you would consider art. It might be quite different to what you expect. Or,
This will elevate and bump up the whatever the relationships are. It's looking for excitement with the square to Uranus. It's wanting to do something out of the ordinary. It's that's what it's trying to seek.
mm,
Or for you to do. It's trying to seek for you to do it.
yeah. And the thing with Uranus too is that, like, change will be thrust upon you. And I mean, this is not happening. Well, for some people it will be naturally, but I mean, if you have Uranus coming up and, making contact in your natal chart, then yeah, you possibly need to change. And if you don't change, it'll be thrust upon you. This is a transit. Everybody's experiencing this. It's just kind of like, exposing yourself to something new and different. Some people are going to be very uncomfortable with this. Some people that are comfortable with change are going to be uncomfortable with this because this is a square. It is challenging. It is tense. But yeah, if you can try and incorporate that, do something a little bit different, change things up, just flip things on the head. Uranus likes that.
Uranus likes to be disruptive.
Mm.
That's one of the key words of Uranus. It likes to be disruptive. It likes to be independent. It likes to be out of the ordinary. It likes to be different.
And the thing with Uranus too, it does bring that freedom, and usually it can feel like a real pain in the butt when it's happening, but quite often it's for the better anyway.
Yeah. It might spur you shockingly into either leaving a relationship or gaining a relationship, but try not to take your the heart issues too seriously. That square to Uranus, it's meant to shock you, but try not to be too serious about it.
Yeah, they're both in fixed signs too, so yeah, easier said than done in some ways, but yeah, try and roll with the punches.
It's getting you to look at something. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's a problem. It's just telling you to look at something in a different way.
And this is a aspect. I mean, Venus is slowing down because Venus is going to retrograde. When does she retrograde? 22nd of July. She's going to retrograde later in the month. So she's starting to get really slow. She's only moving at 61% of her usual speed. So she's going to be making this square to Uranus for a little bit longer than she normally would. So yeah, and then later on in the month, we're going to have Venus going back and reassessing things. Actually, how far back does she go? I don't
I
have.
want to say 8 degrees, but that's just off the cuff because everything else was retrograding back to 8 degrees. It's I'm not sure.
Well, she's probably going to come back during her retrograde phase and square
Square
Uranus
it again.
again, which will be interesting. So maybe, particularly if something does happen at that time, it would be interesting to make a note of that and see when it does retrograde back and make another square during her retrograde phase, what happens then? And then, then she'll come and go direct over it again. So yeah, this could be 3 hits. Actually, I'm going to double check that she is going to retrograde back over it. On the 9th of August, she will square Uranus again while she's retrograde. And then the final one will be about 29th of September. So that will be interesting. So 3 hits of this. So maybe take note of what happens the first time, the second time during the retrograde, and then when she goes over it the third time in direct motion again. That would be very interesting.
It will be very interesting because the retrogrades, especially when they hit another planet 3 times, that planet's asking for you to change something.
And this is going to be more impactful with people with planets or chart points around about 22 degrees of the fixed signs. So that's Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. Donna's smiling. You got something at 22
Venus will be
Scorpio.
right on it'll be squaring my sun.
Oh, lovely.